Hi and welcome back. Today we've got a chipping video for you, and it's about loft and basic sort of setup really. So this is one of the most common problems that I'll see when giving chipping lessons or when coaching, and the understanding of loft and how the club face needs to work along with the body. So let's really quickly recap on the body. There are other videos on setup and chipping setup that you can look at to go into more detail on this. But basically with the body, we want the setup looking like I am here. Well, this is pretty straight in this side, bit of angle here. You know, and for chipping, it's an accurate strike. We're not looking for power, we're looking for accuracy. So we don't want too many, moving parts really. We want to be pretty stable with our pressure through the left side and just moving the club kind of back and forth, moving the club around my setup rather than perhaps trying to move the body too much. Because if I want to impact the ground in the same place every time, I need to have some consistent sort of body angles. And this is proven, and just with a guy recently the other day actually, that once he got the right setup, the great thing was because he's in the right position to hit the ball, he could just go up and down with the club, and the club almost wants to ground in the right place every time, which makes the consistency of the chip shots and the strike a lot easier. So it's really quick on that. And club face. So what I tend to see when coaching, common problem is that people take the loft off the face too much like this. So it either comes from maybe having the ball back and hands too far forward, so kind of like this. This is a common way people used to chip, and it makes the club face tend to close a bit. Or sometimes people try and keep the club face too square, almost square to the target line, and that's not really what you want the club face square to. And the problem is with that is that if it goes back like this, when that comes down, that's actually going to make the ball go left unless you either manipulate it with your body, lean back, or use your wrists. So both of those can compromise the strike. So what we're actually looking for is that when we've got the setup and the wrist angle's good, when this moves back, the club should look more like this. This is actually squarer to my chest. So as this moves back here, then it can move back in this way. So I'm keeping the same loft on the face all the time, from backswing, impact, and on the way through. So from the front angle, my setup and wrists in this kind of position, as it moves back, it'll look more like this with the face, rather than perhaps here. And on the way in, I can just let the club work back into impact here, without having to try and manipulate the face or put the loft back on. So when it works through, it'll look more, like the face is actually worked over slightly. Rather than trying to add the loft, I don't need to put the loft on it. It can come around with the same loft, and then I can just work it through. So let's show you that. So when I get my setup, I'm going to take it back, keeping the loft on like this, then I can just let the club drop back in. Okay. And it's not too hard just to chip the ball fairly consistently, getting the ball going up in the air, and I can just keep sending it a little bit further if I give it a slightly bigger swing. So from the front, it's more kind of this motion rather than here with my body. And if I give you an example of what might happen when you take the loft off. So if we tend to take the loft off, I'd normally see people come in like this, or with the flicky wrist, trying to make the ball go in the air. So that tends to look more like that, and then I catch the ground early. Quite common, that. So from the back, take the loft off, then I've got to put it back on again to try and hit the ball up in the air. And again, I'm catching the ground a little bit early, so it's compromising the strike, which for most people, and for golfers like you, then this is really important, getting the strike correct, because a good strike leads to good distance control. And then you can chip the ball closer, and then the scores will start coming down. So for you, if you tend to put the ball back, hands forward, or maybe take loft off when you're chipping, this is a great one for you. Keep the loft on the face and get the body right, and you're going to be able to chip much better. Hope you enjoyed this. Any comments and feedback would be great, and I look forward to seeing you next time.